delightful way to start the show. As always, good morning and welcome to Daily Rip Live. It's Monday, October 6th, 2025. I'm Katy Perry, joined by Shay Boloor and super special guest Olivia Voznenko, aka Voz. Welcome back, Voz. How have you been?
Awesome, especially after that song.
Right? I'm
Yes, I think I had this when I used to make websites back in like I don't know, elementary school, and you'd have like the MIDI files.
Yes. Well, we're just trying to get you excited and in the mood for Stocktoberfest because I know you'll be joining us. So, everyone who hasn't gotten their tickets yet, you're running out of time. You really are. You should go to stocktoberfest.stocktwits.com and check it out. Shy, how was your weekend? Did your sports teams do better than mine? Because
Oh
the
my
Yankees
god.
got absolutely smoked two
Yeah, they
times,
did.
and then the Bills lost. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, I mean, you had some tough. New York
Ugh.
had a tough weekend, but Rams, I don't know. I don't know if you saw Thursday Night Football, but it was a tough one to watch.
Yep.
Overtime, went for the stupid run and lost. Stuff kicking the field goal. Either way, uh, the only thing I made up for it was this massive AMD news this morning. I think that is just really lifting the AI bull spirit, like myself, and it's a great energy energized booster for to begin the week. It's kind of a crazy deal.
Well, let's start there because I saw the headline this morning and I immediately thought of you. Anytime I see anything like AMD, certain stocks, I'm like, oh, shy. So they just OpenAI just hit fast forward on the GPU arms race. And it isn't all about Nvidia. So if you remember a couple weeks ago, there was a deal with those guys. AMD now is signing a multi-year deal to supply OpenAI with hundreds of thousands, I'm sorry, of AI chips starting in the second half of 2026. Plus, they issued OpenAI a warrant to buy up to 10% of AMD. Shai, help us break this down because OpenAI is just in like massive deal making mode. And we just had the news on their partnership with Nvidia a couple weeks ago, but that looked quite different, right? So how are these deals different from each other?
So I think it's really important to know that the deal for Nvidia was purely to get this the source for them to fulfill whatever model needs that they need going forward. This AMD deal is very different, and I think this deal wouldn't have happened if the two companies suddenly didn't need to work together because each was somehow some in one way or another boxed into a really interesting business reality that they couldn't be solved any other way than just actually dealing with each other. Because OpenAI, we all know this, first mover advantage of this AI arms race in the model world. They will keep pushing out more powerful models, but you saw how the lack of improvement from GPT-4 and 5, like there is somewhat of a stall happening right now. And they also need to start building these data centers on a scale we've never seen before. Stargate was a very important one. If you don't know about Stargate, it's a supercomputer project that OpenAI is essentially leading with Microsoft. They're targeting 6 gigawatts of GPU compute. And when you think about that, that's like the type of capacity that normally takes an entire national grid to power. So it's massive. And to get there, they can't really rely on one supplier because Nvidia chips, they still dominate. Like this deal does not, it's not a zero sum game. Like it doesn't say it's Nvidia chips are going to start getting less and less. Like they are still expensive, they're still dominant, they're sold out months in advance. But when you rely on one supplier that the whole world wants, there is a risk that I don't know, Nvidia could raise prices or there's production delays, and all of a sudden you have OpenAI's roadmap stalling. So having a second supplier isn't just like a necessity; it's kind of vital, especially this early stage of AI. So that's why OpenAI did this deal, and now they're also invested with AMD, that 10% stake. That they're incentivized. That all right, well, we're gonna want them, our partner, to grow with us because we have some skin in the game. AMD on the other side, they've been trying to build their MI450 AI GPU platform for years. Like they were just like the little kids screaming in the cafeteria, "Look at me, I'm just as big as Nvidia. Come sit at the cool kid table." But they were never able to crack the top tier of the market. They never had a customer, like an AI native customer, tier one, willing to order at a large scale. This changes that. I think this now starts their tech now gets more respected. I think they've always been viewed as this underdog because Nvidia is so superior. How can this little sibling like succeed when Nvidia is just essentially the GPU engine of the world? This validates their tech big time. And now I do think that the structure of the deal makes sense for both sides, and I think that AMD's share price is going to essentially rise at the ramps if the ramp succeeds. Again, it's really important to know this isn't any cash up front. This is just OpenAI writing a big check for chips um, years ahead before they actually need it. And AMD gives OpenAI the right to buy up to roughly 10% of their stock. I think it's also really interesting that this theme is becoming more common now, equity stake and one another. And that's something very new. It's never happened before. And I think that's something that's only going to be continuing because of how massive AI is and how vital it is for national security, that you can get away with a lot of the gray area equity stake type stuff. And I think that's another example. I think this is a massive win for AMD shareholders. I think they've been nothing they could have said about like respect our tech. It's a great chip quality. Like they've said it for years. This validates it. It's proof in the pudding. So like it deserves to be up 30%, to be honest. Like this is going to be a big re-rating.
Couple quick follow-ups for you, Shy. One on I always go to the corporate drama behind the scenes. Nvidia, they had to know about this, right? Or is
Yeah,
there a
they
chance
did.
they did know about it? Okay.
Yeah, they for sure did. So I also do think that everyone is so intertwined in this ecosystem. There is a world where if you just like pull a Charlie Kelly and go in the basement, have a whiteboard, and just do all the math, see like what's connected to what. By Charlie Kelly, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That episode, if you guys haven't watched it, Nvidia. There's a world that Nvidia might own a piece of AMD because of everything they're doing for OpenAI. So if OpenAI owns 10% of AMD, there's going to potentially be some deal down the line where Nvidia has some kind of equity stake in OpenAI. Then all of a sudden, it's like Nvidia somehow Jensen has some a piece of like the biggest competitor's equity, and now it's Daddy Jensen winning again. Like it's crazy times.
What and then my other thought goes to what, if anything, does this mean for Microsoft that obviously had the big partnership with OpenAI? Is this completely unrelated or is there a Microsoft angle to it?
It's a roadmap expansion. It's not really a replacement. I just think that again, we're just getting more and more validation that this AI theme is just so freaking early and so freaking big. It's going to touch every part of this world, and data centers are nowhere near close to capacity. But I think it's also really important to know there's so many sympathy plays on these deals. Like it's not just like you don't have to just invest in the hyperscalers and like the AMDs and Nvidias. Like where's the bottleneck that we've been talking about all the time? AI utility. We're going to talk about Iron later on. We're going to talk about Cypher. We're going to talk about Nebius. Like these themes, they are capitalizing on the moment, but the moment is freaking massive and might be lasting years. The other one is energy. Like there's energy is like you're seeing these data center deals. Like what do you have to do with these data centers? Like eventually we have to do something with the grid. Energy is going to be a necessity. Another one is networking. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Astera Labs is up a ton this morning, because they're going to be biggest sympathy play on any kind of when I call it AI highway. Like that's essentially what Astera Labs does for data centers. And if there's more data centers, what do you have to do? You have to create more freeways probably. So they're going to be a major beneficiary. So like there's layers to these deals that if you miss the 35% move and oh, it's up 15% pre-market. Yeah. So if you missed on these like 35% move in AMD, like there's always sympathy plays because these are structural shifts in industries that will be permanent. So there's going to be some more alpha to be made elsewhere.
Yeah. If you want to know how mainstream the AI data energy angle is, this weekend, I don't know if you guys are Swifties, but there was a bunch of Easter egg videos released and they were allegedly generated by AI. And some of the fans were freaking out and they were like, do you know how much energy it took to make you have everyday people who do not invest in these companies understanding the energy demands of AI, and that is how real it is when it's a core narrative
Well,
during a Taylor Swift album release moment.
my 15-year-old new sister-in-law, but she's 15. She doesn't want to use ChatGPT because she's worried about the grid. That's crazy to even
Yeah.
have that consciousness about what's happening on the grid at that age. It's
The,
wild,
the
but yeah,
grid, yeah. If you
the
at the
grid.
15 to be the grid, I'd be like, what grid? What
What
grid
are
are
you
we
Instagram
talking?
talking about?
grid, that's what a 15-year-old should be focusing
I
on.
know.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like a times table. Let's shift over to some crypto headlines because there was a big news, sort of surprising to me, out of Galaxy Digital. If you guys were following a few weeks ago, we did an interview with Mike Novogratz. Galaxy is a crypto infrastructure provider. Traditionally, they were servicing other institutions, but today they're launching Galaxy One, which is a retail investor hybrid wealth app. It's going to have crypto, stocks, and some really high yield products to start. One of them is an 8% APY for accredited investors. They pressed him on CNBC this morning and was like, how long can you guys actually do that before you start running out of money? He admitted it was going to go down. What I'm hearing from this though is I thought they were purely based on when I talked to them last time. I thought they were purely focused on like the institutional opportunity. This almost feels like a Robinhood competitor. And what Novogratz was saying in the interview was essentially a very bold vision that all of these banking products and services are all going to move on chain, and he feels that they're equipped to do that. I don't know if you saw this because I was like, are they going after Robinhood? I don't know. It just seemed interesting to me that they're adding this layer to their business.
I To be honest, I did not even know they had this layer to their
They
business.
just announced it. Like
I
just
don't.
like
Oh, it's a brand new one. It's not an
literally
incremental
like
ad.
an hour ago. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it. I don't understand why it's
Yeah.
different. Maybe again, the hot pocket right now is AI data centers. I think you use all your resources, everything you have, to capitalize on that. This is very, like you mentioned, it's Vlad like. Like you trap people in your ecosystem. You're willing to lose some money initially, but once they stay in your ecosystem, you won't leave, and that's why Robinhood's able to do so many different product announcements and succeed because they got so many people into their ecosystem and brokerage environments via the Roth IRA or retirement transfer, where they and their credit card like percentages they're losing money on those, but they know that they eventually can upsell. This I don't understand if this is your first kind of product into this space. Why? Like, what's your long term game? Like, again, this is me from a TradFi guy, so
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe I don't understand it in that lens. But for these kind of AI utility players, like it should be all AI data center build outs, all the resources. So like, I'm confused a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the market seems to like it. Galaxy's up 11% pre-market. It got my wheels turning a little bit on sort of these neo brokerages and now primarily crypto products trying to move in to become super apps as the banks are now teaming up with crypto companies to become more on chain and everything's sort of merging together. Vaz, on the technical side, I know you've been tracking Ethereum and Bitcoin quite closely. I know Bitcoin I think is around 125 K right now. What are you seeing in the charts for those two assets in particular?
I love this Galaxy story. First of all, just tying it in with AMD. If you can't be the fastest to the swing set, learn how to trip them, okay? And then get there. So I love the Galaxy move, and looking at Ethereum has been one of my favorite comeback charts. We had a really nice consolidation backing in early August. This thing was set to break out and then it failed. So I like to repeat charts and see, okay, let's look at where we lost momentum. And if we could take it back, that's when this thing can squeeze higher. So I'm looking at Ethereum, trying to take back where it was supposed to run off. And I think that we are ready to charge higher in ETH. Also, if you look at IBIT, which is the Bitcoin trust, this one already made that move back in August. It was trying to break out, but then failed. And look what happens. It's supercharging that initial breakdown. So I think that Ethereum is right behind it.
Yeah, I saw, IBIT's been one of the more popular ETF vehicles that retail investors have been using outside of sort of these ETFs and the main crypto assets, Voz. In your day to day, are you checking into like any others, Solana, any of the altcoins? Are you primarily focused on these bigger ones that tend to have more volume?
Well, I like IBIT because as an options trader, I find that their chain is the best to trade. If you're trying to follow or trade options on something like Bitcoin, this is the most interesting for me.
Okay, yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense.
that's why retail traders like it too.
Yeah, that would make sense. Let's flip over to some more news from the TradFi world because we had a merger announced this morning with Fifth Third Bancorp acquiring Comerica in a, I don't know, I said that with like an accent. Comerica in a 10.9 billion all stock deal. They will form the ninth largest U.S. bank with roughly $288 billion in assets. It's expected to close Q1 2026. Comerica stocks up about 11% in the pre-market. There was a lot of these regional banks merging together in years past, and then there was some regulatory reasons why they hadn't. This seems to be sort of reversing that trend, so we'll keep an eye on that merger as well. Um, Vaz, I want to go back to some of your setups that you mentioned when we were in the pre-show, specifically around sort of what you've been looking at with Mobileye. Tell us a little bit about this one and what you're looking at.
Yes, I love a full circle moment, starting with AMD, possibly Nvidia, taking a stake in them. Mobileye is strongly connected to Intel, which obviously has been off to the races with the recent government investment in them. Mobileye is doing one of my favorite uh, charts, which is using the volume profile. I know the Stocktwits community is familiar with the volume profile. You've seen it with Jake. This is something that I use as well, trying to find thin areas of volume that can actually create a supernova of a trade. So basically, you have Mobileye finding a little bit of a bottom here. You see a lot of support. I know you see all the squiggly lines on my chart. Just focus on the volume profile here. This is showing a nice area of support. And then you see what we call thin zones above it. So a thin zone is almost like when you jump on a trampoline and you come back down. A thin zone defies gravity. This is where you can just go up to the sky. So I'm watching Mobileye gap up this morning. There were some recent upgrades on it. Obviously, Intel is supporting it, and you have a nice price target. And I liked this upgrade specifically. I think it was from Deutsche. They had a very close price target. They're not saying like, okay, we're going to upgrade Mobileye to $100. No, as an options trader, I want something that's pretty close and that's going to happen quickly. And so I think their price target was right around $16, $17. We have a nice gap up this morning. We have a volume profile thin zone. Again, the trampoline with no gravity. And on top of that, it's driver assistance. So I love my backup camera. I can't short something like that.
Yeah. Well, Shai, zooming out a bit on this one, Mobileye, I know we talk a lot about Tesla's autonomous roadmap. Mobileye, they use LiDAR, correct? And Tesla doesn't. Is that the differentiator?
Yep, and that's the very polarizing topic of what's needed and
Okay.
what's not needed in the future. I mean,
Okay.
here's the thing. Like for Mobileye specifically, it's tricky because it looks undervalued on the fundamentals. Clearly, there is somewhat of an Intel anchor on it, where there doesn't matter what Mobileye does, like it's going to be up to Daddy Intel on what to do with that stock because they own so much of the shares of that, and like right now you have Uber and Volkswagen signing on to be a pilot to robo taxi service in LA. That's gonna be a pretty big tailwind for Mobileye. I think they have a deal with Lyft actually in Texas as well. But it's compared to like Tesla, like with Google Waymo as well. Like I don't know, like it feels like Elon's robo taxi vision is going to be a reality, and I think that's going to be dangerous for a lidar source company. But maybe the pie is so freaking big that there's going to be lidar and robo taxi, and it's going to be fine. But I don't know. Mobile is a tricky one just because there's a lot of anchors on that name, but it does have low outstanding shares. Like it could run very easily. And I think it's
Yeah.
highly shorted too, actually.
Oh, yes. You, Shy, thank you. Thank you for that. You were talking about pie. You just put the whipped cream on the pie for that, or ice cream. I don't know if you put whipped cream on pie. That
Oh
sounds a
yeah,
little. Can you?
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
You put
rules.
on anything, it's fine.
What are rules? They're made to be broken.
Exactly, exactly. Well, speaking of Tesla, they're up 2.4%, pretty much based on a X promo video that didn't really tell us much. Something is happening tomorrow. That's basically what we know. Shy, what are your friends what friends that are Tesla bulls saying? What do you guys think this is going to be tomorrow?
Affordable Model Y is probably going to be the thing. I was hoping for something drone like. I think I made a post like because Archer Aviation's doing some kind of weird post as well last week, and they had like a Tesla in the middle of their video for some reason, and I was just like, interesting. Connect the dots. I don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe if it's the same odds of the Jets winning the Super Bowl this year. Like it's non-existent, but it's enough where you can be a little hopeful. So I
I
do
don't know.
think
The
it's gonna.
Jets are like the Jets are always bad, and this seems to be the worst Jets team ever. So, but hey,
Yeah,
one can hope.
but the Model Y affordable, it's a big deal because I think a lot of people have obviously families, and a lot of them like they do drop offs. They don't want to drive. They want to be in traffic, and they want a bigger car. And I think this brings a huge market for them if they are able to have this affordable Model Y, especially with FSD. So I think that's what the news is, and I don't know if we'll catch too much of a bid. Maybe it does, but I don't. Tesla is just like turning the corner. So like I think a lot of people are now viewing them in the lens they should be, which is autonomy and robotics and software. And now last year's pain is this year's gain because of the year-over-year comps is like so easy to beat, and it's a easy narrative win. And you're seeing Elon just like he either just was high when he was doing all that stuff with Trump, or he heard someone tell him like, you can't do this stuff. This is detrimental. Like you're gonna get arrested or go do something
Or punched or
or
something. I
punch
don't
something.
know.
So he's acting like exactly what the shareholders needed and wanted. And now the stock price is acting quarter. I think this hits 500 this year.
Wow. So the Model Y, I don't see a lot of these on the road. Maybe it's because I'm in New York, but do you know what the current price point is on those about, Shy?
It's not that I don't know the exact price point. I know the rumors of the affordable one. It's gonna be closer to 35 to 40K,
Wow. Okay.
and that's a big deal for those size like
Yeah.
models for that car. So,
All
uh,
right.
I mean, again, like eventually, it doesn't matter what you feel about Elon. Eventually, consumers in this space is all about conveniency and pricing, and that's exactly what FSD and Tesla is going to be offering. Like, you have to really hate him, like to the extent of um, just like unreasonable in a way to like spend 15K 20K more and actually have to drive the car than to go down this route.
Yeah, we also have I remember we had VinFast on a few weeks ago. Their IR lead, that's a Vietnamese company. They had a different approach to launching their EVs. These are not autonomous though, so slightly different, but they launched with like all of the different sizes at once versus just starting with one. I believe they report earnings on Thursday. So something to watch with those guys. And then this Tesla event, Shy, do we know what time it is, or there was just a teaser video with Easter eggs apparently?
Just October 7th teaser video.
Oh
That's
my
it.
God.
Yeah.
Everything. See, this is what I mean. Like when you're going through, I saw the Tesla, everything is like everyone's stealing Taylor Swift's moves, just like hiding little things. There's like little pieces. Like, are you paying attention? Like, certain people get it. It makes it fun, I think. Um, Vaz, let's flip back over to your charts and your setups. And I want to go now to Apple.
Oh, yes. The most
Show
hated
us.
stock.
Yeah. Poor Apple. I don't feel bad for them. Do you?
I don't
I don't.
either.
They're
I
fine.
don't either. You
They're
know, they're
fine.
going to
It's
cost me.
Apple.
Listen, they're going to cost me so much money to replace my headphones just
Yeah.
because they changed the whatever, the
Yeah.
charger.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, I don't want to spend that much money again on headphones, but this is really annoying trying to find what charger to charge them with.
It's
So
so
anyway,
annoying.
Apple, still winning though. The enemy always wins. Here with Apple, I mean, It's breaking out again. I like the chart up here. We have again a nice consolidation. As long as the market continues to go higher, especially with the no news situation this week, since we don't have any economic data except I think we have Fed minutes on Wednesday and then Jerome Powell on Thursday. That's going to be the only news that we really get this week to drive the S&P higher. Other than that, the stock should just kind of drift before then, and Apple will any kind of bullish setups like Bitcoin, like a lab that Shay was talking about before. These should drift higher on no news situations, unless it's specific news like AMD.
Yep. Zooming out on Apple,
Well,
Shy. Oh, go
also,
ahead.
I think it's really funny that nobody realizes the government's still shut down, guys.
Okay, guys,
That's the craziest thing.
I have a
Who
drinking
doesn't know
game.
that's shut down? People don't
I-
know?
The
we're-
market
we're-
doesn't.
No
Oh,
one's
they don't care.
I'm not drinking until the government reopens. How
I
about
s-
that? It's usually 13 days, and I think it'll be a good cleanse.
I
Yeah.
saw that, Boz, and I was like literally typing like, "I'll join you on this," and I was like, "Ooh." I was like,
As
"I
you're
don't. This
sipping a
could go on."
martini.
I was like, "This could go on a little bit." I like my beer and wings on the weekends. I love that though. I feel like you could start a movement. I'm
That's why
sure
I
people are
tweeted it.
following you on this journey.
I know they really should. Check out my Twitter and retweet that.
Well, when-
Let's get 100 retweets.
Yes.
And 100 sober people.
Well, when I read that, I thought if the Congress people were on this challenge, they would solve it much faster. They would figure it out. That's why I was like, they should do the challenge. And then, because they want to go get their martinis and day trade. So we'll see that. But Shy, back to your commentary on the market's kind of like we don't really give a damn if it's open, closed, whatever. Do you think it's almost like an ignorance is bliss thing? Like they know the jobs data was going to be gnarly, and so they're like, well, if we don't have it, then kind of put our head in the sand.
No, I mean, right when the government shutdown news story came, I was like, this is not going to matter because the only thing driving the market's AI. AI is the main ticket events. It's just that's just the name of the game where you nothing will buck the trend until now supply and demand is more evening out and the supply constraint issue is no longer. That's years away. So government shut down, it's like feels like it's just a dramatic little thing that's probably gonna nudge. If you go to a theater, the main ticket show is AI, and right now if you care about like the government shutdown, it's like caring about the person looking at your ticket giving you attitude. Like it's like ugh, that's annoying, but I'm still gonna go through to watch the main event and enjoy the show. Like the
Right.
show is AI right now. Anything else around that, including the Fed a little, to be honest. Like if the Fed don't cut rates in October, I know the view will be in the lens of the economy is better than expected and AI is booming right now and it will just go up. I
Yeah.
really don't think it will pull back as much. Like some people might call it a bubble because nothing can stop this bullet train, AI bullet train. But also, we're in unprecedented times. Like I really do think that .com era wasn't as big as AI. AI is gonna be much bigger, and you're seeing the monetization avenue of this thematic. Where back then nobody really knew how to monetize the internet. They just knew eyeballs. Eyeballs are gonna go there, and the VCs just threw money at them. Here, they know how to monetize AI workloads eventually. They're doing it right now. You're seeing proof in the pudding at this stage in the earnings just a couple of weeks ago or a couple months ago. Like it's happening right now. It's going to continue. And I just think that be cautious where you want your exposure in, just because I do see a bubble forming on certain aspects of this AI ecosystem. Not now. In a couple of years, I do think it's going to get bonkers, like to the level of pets.com being worth a stupid amount of money back then. I just think that right now, yeah, nothing's gonna stop this rally. Like I actually do think I need to be more aggressive with my cash position. I have 15. I actually have a 12% cash position now, but
You've been
my
saying that, Shy. Like, make a trade. Do it now.
well, that's the thing.
Do
So
it
I've been
live.
adjusting it. So like, oh, it's open now.
There you go.
I'll add it. Yeah, usually my rule of thumb is 21 week EMA levels is when I start infusing cash into the positions I want. I might have to raise it to 8 week EMA. Like that's the difference
Yeah.
of like more aggressive for me.
What you made a comment on this, like we've been talking about this. Some people say AI bubble, some people say that. Jim Cramer had like a conniption on the CNBC this morning because he's like, it's not a bubble. Like, I was like, somebody needs to hug him or something. But he was very emphatic about it. But you do have like, it's interesting when you read the headlines because they'll say like, oh, Sam Altman says there's a bubble, Jensen Wong. But what you're saying is essentially there's aspects of it that are bubbles, but the whole thing's not a bubble. Is that the right way to kind of read the nuances of like these headlines that are like, oh, the people building this stuff say it's a bubble versus, what you're seeing and you're like, this is huge. Yes, there's going to be some bubbles within it.
Well, I think it's just a common sheep-like behavior where people think, "Oh, that's an easy out." Like these names are running 600% no matter like one less than 1 year. Like it's a
Yeah.
bubble. Like these massive deals, it's a bubble, and they stop doing any research. They just like
Yeah.
see that and trust it and want to capitalize on it. Very sheep-like behavior. But like it's really important to see that like Microsoft, for example, they're not building GPU superclusters to speculate on some future consumer fad. That's what the dot-com era was. Like Microsoft is clearly doing this so they can be building Azure's existing Fortune 500 clients and upselling them. Like they have the clientele already. The same banks, manufacturers, governments that already use ERPs, SQL, Office in its cloud. So like they can now start deploying co-pilots, which is their AI product, and they can start like tuning in domain specific models, and they also shift a lot of the legacy analytics to generative agents. That's an easy monetization avenue for them. So I think the demand side looks very different right now than it did in internet bubble, because that was all about people going on the internet for the first time. Like it was just something that nobody's ever done before. AI is about embedding intelligence into workflows that have already massive global spending. I'm talking search, I'm talking advertising, I'm talking enterprise SaaS, like I'm talking logistics, health, finance, etc. Like every structure, every industry in the world is going to get AI embedded into it. That's a monetization lane that we've never had before. And I think these hyperscalers are taking this like blank check approach to GPUs and power buildouts, knowing that it's just going to be so easy for them to start monetizing it eventually. Like, I don't think we're going to get empty AI cities. I really do believe that we're going to have inference balloon up and it's actually going to have some ROI on it. I just think the pockets of spend is in the commodity. There's some spaces like the AI utility space. Like I think a lot of those names are catching bids when some of them only should be, but because they
Mhm.
have this like GPU dense power capacity they can fulfill for hyperscalers, like they're just all catching bid at the same time. Where like I think Iron is my favorite play among all of them. Like cheapest electricity, they have an AI cloud. They don't have a deal yet with a hyperscaler, which makes me like wary of like why not, but maybe because they're a category leader and they just don't feel the urgency to do so. They're not a landlord, they're actually something far greater than just being a landlord, and maybe that's why they're taking their time. But yeah, it's not a bubble, and I think that we just get reminded like actively
Well, let's
how
stick
it's just
on.
real.
Let's whenever people say it's not a bubble, I mean, this is probably gonna date me. You guys know the movie Kindergarten Cop? Probably not. Oh my god, Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it, and there's this amazing scene where he's. Do you know the premise of this movie?
No.
We don't have time for this, but you know what? We're gonna take time. Okay, the premise of the movie is this is like an 80s movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think he's a cop, but then he becomes a kindergarten teacher somehow. I think he's undercover. He's undercover on a mission. So it's like Arnold, like big. And there's a scene where all the kids are like sitting on a magic carpet and they're just like pissing him off. And he's like, I have a headache, stop. And then this little kid's like, maybe it's a tumor. And he's like, it's not a tumor. And it's this like line. Whenever someone says it's not a bubble, I like hear that line. If you guys haven't seen this movie, it is hilarious. It is one to watch. However, let's go back to Iron. Because Vaz, I know you have some setups with these guys. You're looking into them from the technical standpoint. What are you watching with Iron in particular?
Oh yeah, I mean, again, it's the name of the game is the breakout. We had a great consolidation right around let's see, right around $46. You had option activity, you had big money flowing to this one, out of the money calls, especially lighting up last week on Friday. So someone knew, or they had a really strong indication that and belief that Iran would continue higher. This is also mining related. And yeah, we're having a solid breakout. And look at that. It's not, while the market, let me just check the SPY real quick. While the market isn't doing much right now, you have Iren. Come on, Iren. I always
There
think of
you
that song.
go. I love that. And the music video is so good.
Yeah,
There's
let
a
me just,
bunch of people in overalls banging pots and pans. Like we
I
used to,
know.
we
And
used
if
to
you,
have fun.
I mean, you see the guy in his overalls going like this, and you think the song is kind of nerdy, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's kind of dirty.
It's
It's a little
super
naughty.
dirty.
It's a little
It
naughty.
is.
I
Yeah,
have
that's a great one.
I have a price target for Iren up to around 60. That's its Fibonacci extension, just taking a quick glance at it. But according to Shy, this one's going to go even higher. So I love it.
All right, we love some alignment. Let's
Finally,
zoom. I
none
know,
of us get
right?
along. I mean, come
Why
on.
can't we all get along? We can if everyone in Congress stops drinking until they figure this out. Then
This is going to solve everything.
they'll have a big kegger and everyone kumbaya, everything's fine. Let's flip into space. We have some space news. Firefly Aerospace is up 12% today. They bought a defense tech firm for $855 million. The defense contractor is called SciTech. So the deal is expected to close at the end of the year. So that stock is going up. Shy, I know you're big is Rocket Lab, right? In the space? Is that your big space player?
Rocket Lab and ASTS.
Okay.
Firefly. I mean, I laughed because they just had a failed rocket a week ago.
Oh no,
So like,
really?
yeah, I think they should focus on that over making
How
an
bad was it?
acquisition.
Just like kind of like stuttered and just like, oh, wah, wah.
It was like the first public one since going on the stock market. I think it went down 20% following news. I just think
Oh,
that it's
God.
right now it feels like any quantum, any space, any nuclear name will do well. Like the whole theme is catching a re-rating. It's just, again, be cautious of what you own. Like ASTS and Rocket Lab are clearly the tier one space companies. Everyone else is just, they're riding the tailwinds of these actual early disruptors, and just they're going to be schmucks down the line. Like you'll see the difference between winners and pretenders.
Give
Don't
us real
own a
quick.
pretender.
Remind us real quick the fundamental case for ASTS, and I know Voz has some setups she's looking at. But how would you characterize these guys versus a Firefly or a Rocket Lab or something else?
Well, so they're bridging connectivity from space to Earth, and that's essentially what ASTS does. It's very much of a you can people in like the desert of Africa can like actually take a phone call, and that's essentially what ASTS is trying to solve. And I think that a week ago, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, there was massive news for the stock, and there's reason for that is because there's so many questions whether or not ASTS can actually execute perfectly from here, or whether or not their new Block 2 satellites can actually deliver the full broadband speed once they are in orbit, because right now they have no real revenue. Eventually their revenue is going to scale up to the billions within 2 years, but going from zero to a couple billion was massive. And last week's update was finally them announcing that they're past the science project phase and they're done assembling the Bluebird 6 and all of its functional testing, and it's going to leave, I think, the site next week or this week, maybe middle of October. So I think that right now that's a huge sentiment read, because the first five this isn't like another trial satellites. The first five were just like nice features because they proved that the radio link worked, but it could never really support the paying service at scale. This Bluebird 6 is completely different and changed the whole game. And they also announced they're going to be moving dozens of the Block 2 birds as well, from the lab demo to becoming an actual network operator with real revenue. So I just think that it's really uh, cautious at this level at $70, because they still have some execution risk. But the way I frame it is like ASTS has become the American Tower of space, where Rocket Lab has become the FedEx of space. Like that's kind of the spectrum of how they're trying to conquer the space economy. Both are getting massively re-rated because I think they're realizing the $1.8 trillion space economy. They've been saying it since a couple years ago. It might be a reality. And if it is, these companies are two early disruptor tier one players are going to have a high tide raises all boats type of situation. And they should be worth more than $2 or $3 billion like they were at the time. Now they're worth 20 to 25 bill. And the charts look gorgeous. Like they're in discovery mode. That's the thing about discovery mode. When you're in price discovery mode, flying through all-time highs in a secular growth theme with plenty of runway and a national security cherry on top that has sovereignty funds going towards this whole space for decades, that I wouldn't be in front of that bullet train at all. And that's what's happening. Like valuation doesn't really matter. Fundamentals don't really matter. They just care about moats and funding and legislation. That's exactly what's happening in the space.
All right, what do you see in there, Voz? Because I know you were watching these guys or have been as of late.
I know. I've been watching this stock and in this stock since $9, and definitely receiving a lot of hate because Shy is right. I mean, there's nothing to prove here, but you have institutions just throwing money at it. So as much as they throw money at it, they can have my money too. We have, but technically speaking, yes, the chart does look gorgeous, and ASTS has a huge fan base. I'm sure you see it a lot trending on Stocktwits, the believers of this one. And again, I mean, look how it can claw back so quickly. We had a breakout that was supposed to happen mid-July. We obviously started selling off here, kind of got into that danger thin zone. It's kind of the opposite that I was talking about with Mobileye. When you have these thin zone to the downside, that's when you jump on the trampoline and it breaks. So we luckily kind of caught on some moving averages here, moved back. And after a couple months of selling, we regained that plus more within a week. So obviously you have eyes on this stock. You have money flowing into this stock. It's not topping out. And I mean, this thing is trading at $70. Shy, I did sell some calls on this, so I'm kind of hoping it comes in a little bit, but so far it just continues to charge higher.
Also, I do want to call out like on this is a story stock. Like I know story stocks get really bad reps, but this is a story stock. Like again, this is my top 5 position, my small cap portfolio. I've owned it for a long time. At a certain point, there's gonna be $100 psych level that gets attached to the stock. And if there's no trend breaking move next near term and it keeps trending up to the right, especially on this like new Bloomberg 6 narrative, there's going to be a psych towards that $100 level. And even if it's expensive, things got more expensive. There's no guardrails on how expensive something can get. Circa Palantir $60 now is at 180 in less than a year. So I think that it's really important that can happen, but also 50% corrections happen all the time on story stocks eventually. So like if you get in at $70, I to be honest, I think that's gonna be in 10 years down the line, like that. I think that's gonna be fine. Like long term, this is going to be higher. I think if execution actually delivers. But in the immediate 6 months, you just never know when these story stocks take a massive haircut. And same thing can happen at IonQ. Same thing can happen at Rock Lab, Oklo. These names that feel like nothing can stop it. FOMO starts kicking in. These names get rug pulled all the time. It's happened in my trajectory. I own Rock Lab since 4, IonQ 7, Palantir 8. Like these names have 10x, but in along that path, they've gone down 50% multiple times just from not really anything fundamentally different or thesis breaking. Just name of the game. Volatility is the toll you pay for being in growth investors. Remember that.
Buckle up. Well, speaking of story stocks, I saw Open Doors' new CEO Kaz was in the public X comments with Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev. He was lamenting that he wants to take more questions from retail shareholders during their upcoming earnings call. And Vlad was like, let's work on this. I was kind of confused because Robinhood bought a company that does exactly this called Say Technologies, and they sell that service to public companies already. So I commented back asking, but no one responded to me as usual. But we will find out what that's all about. Some people are saying it could be some sort of tokenization news. Vlad Tenev last week was basically out doing a media tour and using the quote, tokenization is going to eat finance. So that's one to watch there with those guys. And if you're in the open army, keep an eye out for that. Another big headline I spotted, I think it was Friday or over the weekend. Costco is going to start selling Ozempic and Wegovy at a huge discount. So this is you talk about circular economies with AI. I mean, Costco's selling you the giant tub of Cheetos and the Ozempic, like genius in my view. But they struck a deal with Novo Nordisk. It's going to be $4.99 a month for people without insurance. So that's pretty good without insurance. It's going to be available at 600 plus pharmacies nationwide. One stat from the coverage that stuck out to me was that 1 in 8 US adults have used a GLP-1 drug. So that seems to me, I was like, whoa, that's high. But then it's like, wait, there's a lot of room there as well. Shy, when you've talked about these products before, like what did something like this mean for Hims? Like, is the name of the game going to be distribution? Like you're gonna be able to get Ozempic, at at Walmart in the future?
I mean, that was my whole bears thesis on a year ago on Hims was when they were getting re-rated on GLP-1. That was like their whole thing in 2023, 2024. I was like, that's short game. I think that eventually it's going to start scaling, and if you're a compounder, like it's all about convenience and pricing. That's something Amazon, now you're seeing Costco be able to offer, and you lose your spiel. But that's not like Hims is not GLP-1 story, and I think that's really important to highlight that something far greater. But in the immediate, there is like a narrative issue right now with that stock. So I think that's why you're seeing it not really catch a major bid, and it's getting impacted on these GLP-1 news stories, etc. But I do think this GLP-1 theme is very real. My horse in the race, though, is Viking Therapeutic. It's not Hims. It's not Lilly. It's VKTX is the ticker for that. I just think that this one's like really mispriced. It's one of my 2026 names for my small cap portfolio. And I think it's really important to know like they are just they were targeting the oral part of the GLP-1, not the injectable part. And maybe it's because I hate needles. I think a lot of people hate needles. I think that if they can solve, if their phase 3 data actually validates their ability to target the oral part of GLP-1s, which is nobody else has done at all, it would cause a massive re-rating. Because I think that's the commercialization of GLP-1s once you can actually take it orally. So it's a small cap. It's highly shorted. They had really poor phase 2 data that was misinterpreted in my opinion, but it wasn't the greatest. And $3 billion, they have manufacturing capability if phase 3 data comes strong. But the issue with late stage biotech, guys, if I'm wrong, it's down 80%.
Yeah.
That's a short name of the game. It's all data dependent.
Yep. Yeah, and it's understanding the clinical trial process and where things are. And you're right. I feel like with these stocks, sometimes they go a long time without updates, and then like, oh, we just released something and it's either very good or sometimes it's not so good, and you got to buckle up. But
You know what they're going to release?
what?
They're going to release GLP Cheetos,
Oh my,
economy size
sign me up.
from Costco.
Honestly, would.
Mhm.
Absolutely would. Or those like, what are those like Doritos that are like rolled up into like a perfect little like cylinder?
Oh, from Trader Joe's.
I don't know. It's like someone took a Dorito and rolled it up, and it's just more. It's like looks like a cigarette. It's a Dorito cigarette. Like, what
A
else do you
Dorito
want?
doobie?
Yeah, like what else do you want in life? I'm just like, my cheese cigarette here. I'm just living life. Checking back in on the state of the markets. The S&P 500 is rising to kick off the week. The Dow Jones slightly in the red. We are, of course, in day 6 of the government shutdown. And as we like to say on the show, the girls are fighting. We don't know if there's going to be a resolution soon, but as Voz says, there's been shutdowns before. They last anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months. But the difference this time, people saying it could get ugly. It could get ugly because if neither side moves, the pain that's going to start to be instilled to get the other side to move could be felt. And I think that goes back to sort of the market brushing it off right now. But there's a couple milestones that I think people are looking at. One is on October 15th will be the first day military personnel miss their first paycheck. So if you're a legislative representative, you do not want that on your conscience, and you want people calling you about that. And then there's another healthcare related deadline, November 1st. So we will see. It seems like a big game of chicken. But in the meantime, we suspect they're day trading. They're in Cancun with Juan Soto. We don't really know. Shai, did you see that? Juan Soto Instagramming from Cancun.
Already.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I love it
No,
though. If
I
I
mean,
lost,
yeah.
I'd do the same thing. I'd be like, yeah, I'm in Mexico and I'm richer than you. So sorry. Sorry about it, Mets fans. Uh let's like take a look at the next couple days this week though. Vaz, like what are you keying in on? Are you gonna watch the ones you went over today? Are you in discovery looking for new opportunities? Where's your head at?
I am waiting for Wednesday. I think we're gonna have a slow drift up to that or stay stagnant until we get the market's just looking for any kind of news to trade off of after that. So we have FOMC minutes on Wednesday and then Jerome Powell on Thursday. He does move the markets, especially if you guys are day traders out there. You might be in a position, and once he starts speaking, you're going to see a lot of jolts, a lot of chaos in the markets, especially since there's really nothing else to focus on but him. So this week, even if he doesn't say anything that is truly going to create, I don't know, like long-term effects, it will create a short-term effect in the market that day.
I mean, he could be the star of the show. I think this is his time, right? He's kind of at the twilight of his career here. He should put on a headdress and just go nuts, I think. Shy, what about you? I know the Tesla event tomorrow, you got to be excited about. What else are you checking on this week?
Man, I want pain in the market. You know, but I've been hearing it. Like, I feel like this Grinch, but like, I'm just gonna do more reading. Like, I'm not gonna participate as much in the market. Because I'm not a trader, guys. I'm a long-term investor, as you guys know. But like, right now, these levels, like, they're just getting re-rated. My conviction is getting validated now. My thesis was right, but at this stage, what do I do with the capital? I have to like do not much until there's some kind of pullback, and even if it's like 4 or 5%. So
You get
while
that
I'm
8%
waiting,
yield in Novogratz is a new thing. It sounds too good to be
I
true,
could, I
but
could,
you
I
could.
could.
You could. I'm sure someone's going to call you up. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I mean,
someone's
totally.
watching this. They're like, oh, we got to get this guy. We got to get him now. Uh,
Blue
all right.
Horseshoe
So you
one
want,
shy.
yeah.
So I said
Yeah.
essentially, I'm just gonna be like, while I'm waiting, I'm just gonna be reading, doing more research in AI utility theme. For example, like I'm still learning Iron, Cipher, Galaxy, all those. Like it's still for me a little. I'm sold on the moment, not on a long-term moat. So I want to do more research on if that feeling will change. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a waste of time. But if not, I know for a fact I'm gonna go on TV this week and they're gonna ask me about these names. So might as well
Yeah.
do my research and
Yeah.
know about it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I need a hobby now because Vaz is sipping mocktails and you're reading, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I need a healthy lifestyle choice to commit to this week. If anyone has any ideas, maybe I'll go to a yoga class. Maybe I'll go to Barry's. I don't know. Could get crazy. But to everyone at home, that's our show for today. We will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, as we always are. Vaz, thank you so much for stopping by. Come by anytime you shall desire, and we'll see you in Coronado.
Guys, I cannot wait. I'm taking golf lessons just for this.
Yes.
Just to drive the golf cart.
Let's do it.
I'll hand out the beers.
Perfect.
That's what I'll do.
Well, hopefully the government's open. Otherwise,
Hopefully.
you can't go near those. Shy, great to see you as always. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and have a great day.